Hi, Koby, and everyone else there to wish him happy birthday. It's amazing, you're 50. And thinking back, I think I've known you now probably more than half of that time. In fact, as I think back to how we did meet in line, and as you like to tell everyone, I picked you up in line. Not exactly the truth, but the conversation about Montreal and both of us waiting to meet the same person was, I guess, an easy introduction. There's a couple stories I'd like to tell you about Koby. One that'll sort of give you a sense of his character. During my final days at university and undergrad at Western, in fact, on the day of my last exams, I was involved in a bike accident and ended up in the hospital with a concussion. The next morning, Koby, being the person he was in touch with my parents and somehow managed to do this. He ended up driving my parents out to London to see me in the hospital. Not too many guys would just pick up and do that, so it just says something about how special Koby is and the relationship we've had. In fact, during those years, people would constantly refer to us as bookends. I guess being about the same height and everything else and spending so much time together seemed natural for many. Anyways, there's one story that I think really says something about Koby just from an entertainment standpoint. It goes back to 1987, so it's been a few years, and Koby and I were driving down to New York City, him to actually visit his brother in New Jersey, and me to visit my sister in New York City. We were driving in my car, which was a Honda CRX, which was a great little two-seater back then, and we're driving down, I guess it's the interstate from on the way down from Montreal, and happened to be following a Mazda RX-7, which was zipping along at a nice clip, as I recall. Koby was doing the driving, and I'm sitting as passenger, and he's flying along, and I think we were clipping somewhere around 150 kilometers or more per hour at this point, and not really gaining on the Mazda, to be honest with you. And we're driving along, and Howard says to me, he sees some flashing lights in his mirror, and I says, oh, great, lovely. So I turn around and I look, and so sure enough, there are two unmarked cars driving behind us with lights flashing in the grills. And Koby says, should I stop? I said, yeah, I think you need to stop. So we pull over, and sure enough, the two cars do pull over behind us, and each one has a non-uniformed police officer step out of the vehicle, and they each approach the car on either side of the car rather slowly. And I'm like, oh, this is not a good thing. And sure enough, one of the guys that comes by on the driver's side, he had to be about 6'6", 275 pounds, and his flash pass had to be about, that big. And he shoves it into the window in Howard's face and says, "State Trooper." And at this point, we're a little bit nervous, and he says, this ain't no Indianapolis 500. What do you guys think you're doing? I just pulled two bodies off the road in the last weekend. You guys want to be numbers 3 and 4? Had us thinking a little bit. And he said, driver's license and registration. So where do you think you boys are going? New York City. Sir? He said, I don't think so. I think you're going to spend the night in Warren County Jail. So, driver's license and registration. And they go back to their car and let us sit there and stew for about 10 minutes at least. It might have been longer. It just felt like an eternity. And I'm going through my wallet, and Howard's pulling out his wallet. Okay, how much money do we have on us to pay for this fine? Neither one of us wants to spend any time in Warren County Jail. Anyways, after, as I said, about 10 minutes or so, the police officer walks up, leans on the car, and the car tilts, and he says, okay, the nearest state trooper is more than 10 miles away, so that's too far to escort you into town, so we're going to let you go. But you can cheat on 55 miles an hour, which means you can do 60, maybe 65. You can't do effing 95 miles an hour. So I think you guys are going to go nice and slow when you come through Warren County, or I guarantee you'll spend the night in jail. So sure enough, Koby and I learned our lesson. Yes, it's true, we did learn our lesson, because in fact, a few days later, I happened to be driving back through Warren County on my way back up to Montreal, and I can tell you I did not exceed 56 miles an hour all the way back through that stretch. Anyways, that's one of the stories. I wish I had more time to tell it in appropriate fashion, Happy birthday, Koby. All the best to you and to your family. Take care.